Young Adult Podcast.
Well, everybody, here we go. Welcome to podcast 129. Pastor Lucas here.
Pastor Aaron.
Yep, we're coming at you from Cornerstone Church.
Oh, yeah.
And here we go. I want to talk about something awesome today.
Okay.
Fear. But
Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, fear. Fear's a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Fear's a huge deal.
I think a lot of people struggle with fear.
Yeah, 100%.
And they shrink. They kind of shrink in their like mind and in their actions and in their conversations. Mm-hmm. They shrink, and it really affects them. I see a lot of people on social media in our circles asking for prayer, and they struggle with things like insecurities and I think panic attacks.
Oh, yeah.
Sleepless nights.
Yeah.
Health scares.
Yep.
All these things accumulate to a lot of just fear.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
You tend to not be, if you have a lot of fear, you tend not to accomplish everything that God had created you to accomplish in life.
Yeah, I totally agree.
But we'll talk about all that in a little bit.
All right, we'll get to that in a second.
And because tonight, tonight is
Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Yeah.
And you know what's happening, right?
I know what's happening Thursday night or tonight.
What are you doing tonight? What are you?
I'm not going to be able to watch it.
Yeah, me either. I won't be able to watch it either.
There's
What are we talking about?
first Lions preseason game.
Yep. I'm not watching. I mean, I think I'm recording it, so maybe I'll watch it later.
Okay.
But no, you know what are you doing?
I got a fishing tournament tonight. So
What lake?
Woodland Lake.
Woodland, God.
It's in Brighton.
As I say, never heard of that one.
Yeah, it's in Brighton.
That's cool.
Yep.
Tonight, though, I'm taking my daughter Charlie for her birthday.
Nice.
It's her birthday.
Where are you guys going?
So for her birthday, she's funny. She says, I want to go to a hotel for my birthday and swim in a pool.
Okay.
So that's what we're doing. But we're going to go to Splash Village
Nice.
in Frankenmuth.
Yeah.
More than just a pool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yes. Water slides,
Yeah. Dude, Splash Village is awesome.
lazy river, hot tubs,
Yeah.
pools.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The like splash zone area. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Splash. If somebody's like, hey, we're going to go to Splash Village for your birthday, as a 26-year-old, they'd be like, bet, let's go.
I agree. Some slides, hot tub time, lazy river, slide, hot tub time,
Yeah.
slide, hot tub, lazy river, sleep on a chair, get
Yeah.
some food,
Exactly.
lazy river, slide, hot tub, pass out, rally, do it again, do it again tomorrow. It's gonna be a fun weekend for our family. We're taking her tonight right after work, and so her favorite food is mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
And so if I think you could sum up Zenders by saying mashed potatoes and chicken.
Yeah. Yeah. Very accurate.
So we bought a big meal package, and we're going to go, and she'll be able to eat all the mashed potatoes she wants to eat because we don't let her eat ever all the mashed potatoes she wants to eat.
Yeah.
And the health reasons, obviously. And so we're going to go let her stuff her face as much as she wants. We're going to swim. We're going to stay the night at the hotel. Zenders has an interesting vibe, too, that Splash Village place.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a troll, mushroom, psychedelic, wacky, windowless environment. How else would you describe it? Am I missing anything?
No, that was pretty good.
Troll village?
Yeah, the mushroom village,
Not
like
troll. Gnome.
gnome. Yeah,
Mushroom gnome village.
yeah, almost fairy garden
Yes.
esque. Yeah,
Yes.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
We got to cast out demons everywhere. It's just trolls, gnomes, fairies.
Yeah,
There's a demon in every single one of those little statues. around that
every one of
building.
those little statues, man.
Just joking. I joke because it's kind of true. not for me, but people think that.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's always gonna be a great weekend.
So, did you know? I don't know if you knew this or not. This
Okay.
is kind of in line with the whole trolls and gnomes and fairies.
Okay.
But my parents were raised at a church where the pastor taught that frogs were evil. Have you heard
Really?
this? Yes. Have you heard this before?
No.
Yeah. Taught that frogs were evil, and if your kid had any kind of like frog, stuffed animal, or plastic toy or game or anything like that, that you've got to get it out of your house because within that lies a spirit.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm not exactly sure the scripture references.
Yeah.
When it comes to this whole thing.
I'm wondering where that is in the Bible.
There are interesting little things in the Bible about frogs. One of them being one of the plagues
Yeah.
was frogs.
Right.
But I don't understand the obsession with the frog because there was other plagues.
That's what I was just going to ask, is if you're going to go that frogs are evil, does that mean that so are gnats and grasshoppers, and every time it hails it's evil, and that darkness? And
I've asked that before, and we could ask again. And I was given an answer, and I forget the answer because there's, I think, if I remember correctly, somewhere else in the Bible is a mention of frogs causing chaos.
Okay.
Yeah. And I can't remember where, and I can't remember if that's even true, but I just remember that. And it could be wrong with my memory. But yeah, frogs are bad. Real bad.
Oh, man.
Real bad. And I actually do even remember as a kid, my mom and dad jokingly telling me I have to get rid of some frog toy that I had.
Wow.
But I thought they might be serious.
Yeah,
And
right.
I got stressed about that as a kid, thinking about giving up my frog toys. Because I think I went on vacation at a fun store one time. They, you probably know what I'm talking about. You know those awesome stores where they sell replicas, plastic little replicas of every reptile.
Oh, yeah.
And miniature.
Dude, those are awesome.
Yes.
Love those.
Yep. And my favorite was the like poisonous frogs.
Yes, I was just going to say, like, the poison dart frogs are so cool.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're cool. They're so cool. They're black and they're like bright pink and green and like red.
The red and the
Yeah.
blue. Yes,
Dude,
let's go. They're
lit.
awesome.
Frogs are lit. So I bought a bunch of those. You
Yeah.
know, put them on my shelf in my room, and I liked staring at them, and they were shiny. And I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I love frogs. And frogs are awesome. And of course, as a kid, catching frogs,
Yeah, catching frogs is so much fun. The tadpoles, like,
tree frogs, toads.
bullfrogs.
Bullfrogs.
Tree frogs are awesome. Tree
Yeah.
frogs are so cool.
I know. So I always love frogs. And I remember my parents just kind of referencing a lot about how frogs are evil. And I'm like, oh my gosh, frogs are evil? Like how? I don't get it, you know? And now that I'm an adult, I realize, you know, how? I don't get it. I still have the same questions. How? I don't get it. I've got no idea what's going on. But fear. Oh, that leads us perfectly into fear.
It's right into fear. Some people have a fear of frogs. I wonder. Now I'm curious. So I'm gonna.
Some people do have a real fear of frogs.
Yeah,
It has
I'm-
nothing to do with the demon.
No, so I'm gonna see what that fear is called.
Oh, the fear of frogs?
Fear of frogs,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do want to talk about fear today. I think that fear has caused so many to shrink back from doing what the Lord has called people to do. I really do. I see it a lot these days. So what, did you find it?
Yeah, I'm not
is it?
sure how to pronounce it, but I think
Yeah.
it's rhinodophobia.
Rhinodophobia.
Yeah, so if you have the fear of frogs, you have rhinodophobia.
I wonder if anybody out there listening has a fear of frogs.
Let us know in the comments if you do, or maybe you know somebody that does.
I bet my mom does.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If I didn't catch a frog or a snake in the yard as a kid growing up, she would just shut the door and stare at me through the window. She's got the rhinodophobia. Why is that the greatest thing to ever say in the world? Rhinodophobia. Just rolls off the tongue
It
nicely.
is. Rhinodophobia. I don't know. It's fun. I like it.
Reddit, give it a beat, boys. Everybody knows.
Oh, man.
Office reference.
Okay, we're talking about fear, though.
Yeah, talking about fear. Man, I think people have a little bit of a misguided understanding about how God works with us, works through us. Mm-hmm. Because it's typically just going through one door at a time. And you don't know what's on the other side sometimes.
Yeah.
And people struggle with that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I got to know that I'm going to get from A to Z, and it's going to be smooth and easy. And I'm going to be successful.
Yeah.
But that is just not how it works.
No.
You decided to, throughout your years, you've taken risks.
Yeah.
I think of one right off the top of my head. I thought was a risk you took, and I'm sure you had fears, and maybe you can talk about this a little bit. Is you started the IMA early?
Yep.
You decided you wanted to graduate high school early, which meant you had to work harder than
Yep.
your normal pace, and jump into the IMA to join at this certain year you wanted to get in. I guarantee you there were some fears.
Yeah, I remember that moment. One of the things I was really afraid about was that I was going to be coming in to a group of students that had already been together for 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
And I was so afraid that I was not going to fit in to the culture that they had created. Just like the group dynamics that they've created over the past 4 months, I was stepping into, and I didn't know any of them. And I think that I was 17, and I think the next youngest person in that IMA class was 20.
That's a significant age gap.
And then I think the next was like 22. So I felt very, very insecure about stepping into that group because I was like I'm just so much younger than them. We're not going to connect well. The vibe is going to be so weird and different. I honestly, of all of the things, that was probably the thing I was the most afraid of. Because I had to work harder to get my high school work done. But I wasn't really afraid of that. I knew, all right, I'm going to have to take on an extra workload.
Yeah.
And that was okay. I knew that I was going to be starting a little bit earlier, but I was actually excited about that because I was like, well, then I'll get to graduate a little bit earlier.
Sure.
So I wasn't afraid of that. But stepping into that group dynamic that was already created without me, that was something I was really, really afraid of.
It's interesting you say that. I had never thought of that before.
Yeah.
I had never thought that would be something that would put fear in your heart. And that's just interesting to learn that was your biggest fear.
Yeah.
Stepping into it. If I was you, I would have had a different fear.
Okay.
I would have had a fear that I'm young. Do I have the experience and the maturity to keep up with this college level study?
Right.
And this pace. This is about to be an adult pace.
Yeah.
Was there any of that? Would have been my biggest fear.
Yeah, there wasn't too much. I had started taking some college level classes in high school, when I was, I think, 16. So going into my junior year, I had started taking some college level classes. So I wasn't too nervous or afraid about that. The pace was a big change. And I think I didn't realize how big of a change the pace was. Because I also worked, I worked a job during that time. And so I had all through high school been homeschooled. So I was able to adjust my work hours and be like, hey, I'll start school at noon because I'll get off at 11 and I'll finish school up at 6 p.m. And it's not a big deal. Obviously I can do that in the IMA.
Yeah.
So that was a big shift. And I think if I would have realized how big of a shift that was, it might've made me a little bit more afraid, but I didn't know that.
That's funny you say that. I mean, it's some things you're ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example.
So I wasn't even afraid of that. And I ended up figuring it out. I mean, it took me a few months to figure it, but I did figure it out and it wasn't something that I was super afraid of, but yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
You go from the IMA, you graduate the IMA, you have a few months of just kind of figuring out, you don't really know exactly what you're going to do with your life, you're job hunting, and then you're presented with this job to come on at Cornerstone staff.
Yeah.
I bet there was fears there too. I bet there still is fears.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Then what would be your advice? You're doing things afraid. Is fear an indication that God's not with you?
No, I think this is something that has always helped to encourage me with fear. And I think it was something that maybe Pastor Ben walked through this like lesson one time with me it was about Joshua and how the Lord told Joshua so many times, don't be afraid, do not be discouraged, for I'm with you. And like if you just like read Joshua chapter 1, it's there like 6 times. And Joshua was undertaking a huge task, had no idea what the next step was all the time. God was not giving him, I mean, he had this like grand vision of like conquering the promised land, but then practically it was like, all right, cross the Jordan River.
Yeah.
Okay, now march around Jericho 7 times. God, this isn't making sense. Just march around Jericho 7 times. And I feel like that story has really helped me realize that fear is not an indicator that this is not the will of God, that I can do things afraid, and doing things afraid is okay.
Yeah.
I love Joshua 1:9. I think that verse really, it is just this, take courage, don't be afraid, because I'm with you.
Yeah.
And it's that reason that, man, I feel like if God is with me, I can do things afraid.
Yeah.
And I think that really has helped my perspective shift to be able to do things that are scary.
Have you found out that you were really afraid to do something, but you just decided, I'm going to do it anyway, and then you get through it, you come out to the other side, and you're like, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I felt anointed. I saw small victories. I learned lessons. The next time I feel that fear, I'm going to recognize it as the enemy and not an indication of don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about just very recently, I had the absolute honor and privilege to get to lead or co-lead a team from our church on a mission in the Amazon jungle in Peru. And I was very excited about it. And then the missionary we were going with, he asked me to preach at a crusade type of an event in a village, which I'd never done before. So you wouldn't really think that. I mean, I felt like insecure about this. I literally preach all the time. It's my job.
Yes.
But doing this in a different setting, I got so nervous and so scared when he originally asked me to do that. And then I remember I chatted with you about it a little bit.
Yeah.
I actually had a meeting with our pastor, Pastor Tim, your dad, and he really helped me realize hey, you can do this despite all that fear. That this is nothing to be afraid of. And I went down there and I did it, and I was like, what was I so scared about?
Yeah.
That was one of the most incredible experiences of my life, was getting to be there. And I mean, there's a generator running these 2 little light bulbs in this wood hut in the middle of the jungle. There's all these people gathered getting to proclaim the gospel. Literally one of the highlights of my life as far as mission stuff goes. I was like, what was I so afraid of?
There's a spirit of fear the enemy sends towards us sometimes. And I think too many people follow fear and choose to say fear is an indicator I shouldn't do this. When in reality, I would say that spirit of fear is from the enemy.
Yeah.
And you should push through that to find out that it wasn't God.
Yeah.
It was the enemy sending a spirit of fear.
Right.
So many times I have to test this. And I say test it because that's kind of what it feels like. Test it as in you've got to do what God tells you to do to find out that it was God. That's how it works.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I guess that's where faith comes in.
Yep. That's exactly where faith comes in.
Every single person has accepted Jesus by faith, and every single person then steps out in faith. There's a faith factor as we live our lives as Christians. There is things you have to do with faith, hoping. There's a hope and there's a faith. The future I have faith that the future will be okay, even though I'm full of fear. And the only way to figure out if the future is good is if I do it.
Yeah.
Because if I don't do it, then I'll never know whether I should have done it because I won't have that future.
Yep. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to let me paint a picture for you for a second.
Yeah.
That I think is really going to help show exactly what you just talked about. I remember when I was a boy, we were camping at this campground, and they had this really cool playground. I remember it was one of the biggest playgrounds I feel like that I had been to at that point. I don't know, I was like 5 or 6. So it's pretty young. And I remember there's this like window spot where you could do some like monkey bars, like kind of like trapeze things. But then at the end, you had to jump off.
Okay.
There wasn't like a ladder to get down. You kind of like, went through these monkey bars. I think there was like maybe some like rings and stuff like that. And then you just like jumped off.
Okay.
And I remember being so scared to do it because I didn't know if I could make the jump down. And I remember my dad standing there and being like you can absolutely like trust me. If something happens, I'll be right here. I'll make sure that you're okay. And I remember doing like these monkey bars and the little like, I don't remember all the things, but I remember like going through and then hanging on that last bar for so long because I was so scared to let go.
Yeah.
Because I'd never jumped from that high before.
You don't know what you're going to get.
And then I finally let go and I realized, oh, that was no big deal.
Yeah.
So then I went back and I did it again.
Yes.
Because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. You found out that it was actually fun.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's so often God is asking us to take a step of faith to do something.
Yes.
And we're like, God, I've never done that before though. And we get really fearful.
I could get hurt. You think about all the things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
And then you do it and you're like, oh, wait, that was kind of fun.
That was like, I saw God work. Like
Yes.
I invited someone to church. I brought my friend to Ignited. Or I brought my friend to CYA summer party that's happening tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
like I did it. Wow, that was awesome. Let's do it again.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You don't know unless you do it.
Yeah.
And that's how God works. And I just think so many people refuse to do something that unknown and scared because there's no assurance that it's going to be fun,
Yeah.
that it's going to be great, that they're going to do a great job, that they've got what it takes. No, you got what it takes to do it. I promise. You just got to start working it. You got to start doing it. You got to put your hand to it to figure it out.
Yeah.
You think you're not smart enough, but I know you are.
Come on.
You think you're not skilled enough, but I just know you are. Like you can do this. It doesn't take an expert.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
You've been a Connect group leader for our young adults now for how many years?
Man, maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say so. And it's an intimidating, I think it's an intimidating job, or I don't know if you want to call it a job.
Yeah, it's definitely an intimidating role.
Role. That's a great word. Yeah. Role.
Yeah, because especially the first couple times you do it,
Yeah.
like you don't know if anybody's going to show up.
Yeah. You don't know if you got what it takes. You don't know if people are going to like you.
Yeah.
You don't know if you're going to be a good leader.
Yeah.
You don't know if like you're going to like people are going to have questions. Do I have all the answers?
Yeah.
Like people got prayer requests. Am I really like the one to pray for them? I mean,
Yeah.
like I don't know if that's me. You know?
Oh yeah, I remember one time when we had it was pretty early on when I was leading a group, and it was a men's group, young adult men's group.
Yeah.
And one of our first groups, it was huge. I think we had like 14 guys,
That's awesome.
and it was incredible. And that made me more nervous for the next time. 'Cause
Okay.
I was like, what if nobody comes back?
Ah.
What if they didn't like us?
That's true because I could have disappointed 14 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember like even like having like it was like a great group, and that made me more nervous for the next time. Like I got afraid, what if nobody shows up for the second one? And so yeah, I think there's absolutely can be fear with that, all kinds of fears.
Man. And I just know that people are really full of fear. And oh man, I just wish people maybe saw themselves how like God sees them and sometimes even how we see them.
Yeah.
You ever just be like, I see so much in you. You could do this, and you could do this really great. But all your fears
Yeah.
are causing you to shrink.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And I just wish there would just be more courage and confidence in
Yeah.
people. I really do.
Yeah. And I think you said something really good that I just want to hit on for a second. You said, I wish that we could see ourselves how God sees us, and then how our leaders see us.
If your leader's asking you to lead something,
Yeah.
it's because they see something in you. I know you don't see it in yourself.
Yeah, that's
We
right.
can tell when you ask you to do something, to lead, to take a role, to get a title.
Yeah.
We're asking you because we see it in you.
Right. Because I think that sometimes, especially, I see this a lot with teenagers. You know, I get to be the youth pastor here, and I love it. And I see this with teenagers is they'll have a hard time seeing themselves the way that God sees them, and then, you know, maybe it's their connect group leader or myself or Kayla or my wife, like one of our youth leaders. We'll ask them to step up, to take a role, like speak life into them, because we see that leadership in them, or that quality to do this in
Yes.
them. And I think that being able to trust that your spiritual leader is calling you to a higher level because they believe that you have that ability, and you kind of trusting their wisdom over yours is something that took me a long time to understand, even as a minister, even in like young adult ministry. Like, I don't run the young adult ministry, but I get to serve underneath you and Jen. And sometimes even in that role, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I don't know if this is the best role for me sometimes, you know? And I think trusting that your spiritual leadership, if they're asking you to do something, if they're calling you to a higher level, it's because they see that in you.
Yes, absolutely. They do. They see it in you, and we hope you see it in yourself.
Yeah.
Or we hope that maybe you will say yes despite fears and insecurities, that you're willing to take a risk, to risk with us. And maybe we can end with this. It's always God's desire, and it's our heart's desire as pastors. It's God puts his desires inside of us, and then we start to work out right into our ministries.
Yeah.
What is God wants to see, you know, heaven on earth. He wants to see lives changed, people healed, and the lonely join family.
Yeah.
And he wants to see the broken whole. And he wants to see those who are mourning laugh.
Yeah.
And so that's what we try to do, but we can't do it alone. And so we just try to gather as many people as we can to say, hey, you can help with this, and you can do that, and you can lead this little group over here, and you're in charge of that over there, and you're going to welcome these people over here. And if we all really put on the heart in the face of Jesus, and we speak to people with love and peace and joy, and we treat people how Jesus would treat people, then this place turns into the heaven on earth.
Heaven on earth. Come on.
And then that attracts others.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I want to be in a place like that, because everywhere I go is kind of stinks, you know?
Come on.
And so it's always so sad when people let fear cause them to shrink back, when we know we're asking them to be a part of heaven on earth.
Yeah.
You're missing out.
Man, that's so
Isn't
good.
that kind of what it's like?
Yeah, yeah. And that I think you just really articulated that really well. That was really good.
I think it is what it's like as from a leader's perspective.
Yeah.
Is you get sad when people say no, not because you're down a leader or no, it's because you realize, oh man, they're missing out on some of the best parts.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's what it's like.
Absolutely. 100%, man.
Yeah. So maybe the Lord's speaking to you about fears, and we all have them.
Yeah.
We all have them. And I like what one great man of God said. Failure is a guarantee.
Ooh, that's good.
Failure is a guarantee. So, but that's what we fear the most,
Yeah.
which is why we say no. You know, it's no way
Yeah.
I can't do that. I'll be a big failure. I'll be a big loser. Yeah, we all kind of are big failures and big losers. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, we learn and grow.
Yeah.
And we get wins. And we figure things out. And we listen to the still small voice.
Yeah.
And, you know, we lean into that. And he speaks over us good things. And, we just listen to that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so good.
Yeah. So it's been great to be with you today, audience. We'll be doing a mailbag. You know what? We'll probably do a mailbag
Next week.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too. Mailbag next week.
So if you got questions, comment them below on the YouTube channel or
right.
email them to me, lucas@ignited.org.
Or to me, aaron@ignited.org.
And we will put together our mailbag podcast for next week. It's been great to be with you.
See you guys next time.
See you in the next one. Bye.
Youth and Young Adult Podcast. Youth and Young Adult Podcast. Youth and Young Adult Podcast.